Good morning and welcome back to Daybreak Plus. I'm Pete Gallivan. In our news this morning, a Cheektowaga murder suspect is due back in court today. The Cheektowaga man, 22-year-old Angel Gonzalez-Rondon, was arraigned Wednesday, accused of shooting and killing a 21-year-old man on Walden Avenue in Buffalo Monday night. The Erie County District Attorney's Office says Gonzalez-Rondon was arrested hours later after leading police on a chase. He is being held without bail this morning. Opening statements are expected to begin today in the retrial of murder suspect Brian Scott Lawrence. Jury selection continued yesterday in this case that dates back more than 3 decades. Lawrence and James Pugh were originally convicted in the 1994 killing of Deborah Mindel in the city of Tonawanda. Those convictions were thrown out in 2023 after DNA evidence showed the 2 men were not at the scene of the crime. This marks Lawrence's second retrial after the first one ended in a mistrial last October. This morning, we continue to follow that shocking story out of Williamsville, alleging an elaborate Ponzi scheme that led to investors losing millions of dollars. A lawsuit filed last week says that Woodhill Capital manipulated and even fabricated investment opportunities over the last 6 years. Court records show investors lost at least $13 million, and that figure could grow if more victims come forward. 2 on your side's Nate Benson broke the story and has the latest for us this morning.
Hey there, good morning. A legal expert I spoke to said that the investor lawsuit alleging a Ponzi scheme orchestrated by Woodhill Capital likely sparked a federal investigation that led to that FBI search earlier this week. $115,000, $359,000, $703,000. $4.5 and $5.5 million. Those are just some of the estimated losses of a few of the 14 plaintiffs that filed a lawsuit against Woodhill Capital in Williamsville last Friday, alleging the firm orchestrated a Ponzi scheme that led to a total of $13.3 million to disappear from investors.
To think about losing that much from an individual investment standpoint is tremendous.
As we first reported on Wednesday, Woodhill Capital staff would allegedly solicit investors an opportunity to fund equipment leases that businesses sought financing for. But the lawsuit alleges that the loans were either manipulated or fabricated altogether.
Sadly, it is pretty textbook in its allegations, and that's probably something that we don't like being able to say. After the Madoff days, when we start thinking in terms of now these Ponzi schemes we would have hoped have dissipated.
UB law professor Christine Bartholomew says that what ends up happening in schemes like the one Woodhill Capital is alleged to have operated is eventually the whole thing collapses.
You have a Ponzi scheme where you have a loan kind of arrangement here, and then finally there's just not enough money to pay off even partially return payments to investors.
According to court documents, the scheme collapsed on March 10th of this year when payments to investors halted. 14 investors filed a lawsuit on April 3rd alleging the scheme and losses. Then, April 7th, the FBI searches the offices of Woodhill Capital.
This one's interesting to me because you first had a private lawsuit that was preceding the government, the criminal investigation. That's a flipped order. Usually we end up seeing these criminal investigations and then what we call tag-along or follow-on lawsuits.
Right now, the U.S. Attorney for the Western District is neither confirming nor denying an investigation into Woodhill Capital, but the FBI search was court-ordered.
It's possible that that's where the investigation is coming, and I was a little surprised that the lawsuit's been filed in state court, not in federal court.
But that isn't to say criminal charges are not on the horizon. As for the lawsuit, Judge Emilio Koliakovo issued a temporary restraining order against Woodhill Capital on Wednesday, freezing some of their accounts and prohibiting them from transferring funds.
Well, to get a TRO is actually kind of a big deal. It is a hard burden of proof to be able to freeze funds like that. So there's something that we haven't seen, you and I haven't seen yet, that the judge was privy to that does make the situation concerning.
Once again, I reached out to the attorney for Woodhill Capital for comment. They have not yet responded to our inquiry. On your side, Nate Benson, Channel 2 News.
Nate, thank you very much. A major redevelopment project is being planned now for the former Tonawanda Coke site. According to our partners at Buffalo Business First, developers want to build a 500,000 square foot AI data center on the River Road property. The project's expected to cost about $2 billion, and construction could begin later this year, even as environmental cleanup continues at the former industrial site. Developers hope to have the project complete by the end of next year. Cheektowaga Supervisor Brian Nowak says he will continue to prioritize being open with his community. He held a town hall meeting at Maryvale High School last night. Residents had the chance to talk personally with town officials about any issues that they have, whether they be concerns over taxes or community services.
Things like public safety come up. We don't have folks saying, hey, can you cut the police department 50%? And when you hear from people in person and you can hear the nuance saying, I want this, I don't want that, or I understand the challenge you're under, can you explain something further? That doesn't come through on a social media post in much the same way as it does being a few inches away from somebody, you know?
And Supervisor Nowak says he plans to have another town hall meeting sometime this spring or summer. Right now, we've got a live look over Buffalo City Hall, where the Common Council is asked to set the date on when it will receive and begin reviewing Mayor Sean Ryan's proposed budget for next year. That date, Wednesday, April 15th. The mayor's budget includes a 25% tax increase for city residents in an attempt to make up a multi-million-dollar financial deficit. The council will likely not take any official action when it receives the budget proposal, but it will open a public comment period for residents. Lawmakers are planning to hold a public hearing about the budget in the final week of April. Common Council must make a final decision on the budget by May 26th. And lawmakers in the town of Amherst are considering a 2.5% bed tax on hotels and rental properties. That would include an occupancy tax on top of the cost of staying at any Amherst motel, hotel, in bed and breakfast or short-term rental. The resolution will be before the town board on Monday, and this would be in addition to Erie County's occupancy tax of 5% for larger hotels, 3% for small ones. Town Supervisor Sean Lavin says the town would use 75% of the bed tax revenue in the general expenses budget, and the remaining 25% would go toward maintenance and improvements at town-owned youth recreation facilities. Well, potholes are forming and have formed on roads across the area, and the Erie County Public Works Department says crews are out filling them up. They shared this video yesterday showing workers hard at work. The county says the asphalt plants are back open, so crews can use hot patch now for smoother and longer-lasting road repairs on county roads. People in the town of Elma will have to go at least another day under a boil water advisory. It's because town leaders say water quality testing will need to happen over the next few days before it's lifted. The Elma emergency manager tells Two on Your Side that progress has been made as Elma's water system is now stabilized after the major water main break on Tuesday. About 11,000 residents have been impacted and are urged to continue boiling their water until further notice. And the water issues in Elma are also still impacting other nearby areas as boil water advisories remain in effect there too. The Erie County Water Authority shared these maps of affected areas, including the town of Aurora between Bowen Road and East Aurora Town Line, and then in Orchard Park from Girdle Road to Route 400. And you can also find these maps online if you want to take a closer look. And a project to transform a historic corridor on the east side just got a big boost. Lawmakers announced new funding for a 2-year, $500,000 streetscape project for Jefferson Avenue. The project aims to improve pedestrian safety, upgrade public spaces, and boost economic development along the corridor. Community leaders say it's an investment that's been a long time coming.
Something I heard this past summer is like, I can't wait for Jefferson to get done. I can't wait for Jefferson to get done. And now we can say Jefferson is getting done.
They sent a survey around asking what did we want in front of our agencies, and since I'm the director of programs at Group Ministries, I asked for the works with a cherry on top if you can do it. And you know, I'm excited about it, really am. I'm encouraged that that they're doing the work.
Yeah, and phase 1 of the project is already underway. That focuses on improvements between Main and Best Street, and phase 2 will stretch from Best down to Swan Street. A new affordable housing development is officially open in Williamsville. People Inc. held a ribbon cutting for the Blocher Apartments on Evans Street yesterday. It's a $42 million project that brings nearly 100 units to the neighborhood. The development includes housing for income-eligible residents with more than 20 units specifically set aside for people with disabilities. The complex is in a walkable area near Main Street with access to shops, services, and community resources.
I love my new apartment. I love it. My brother helped me move in January, and I never had a coat closet before. I always had to put a chair at home in my old apartment.
And leaders say the project fills a critical need for affordable housing in Western New York and revitalizes a long vacant property. Former Erie County District Attorney John Flynn has confirmed to Two on Your Side that he does have his eye on the soon-to-be vacant Town of Tonawanda Supervisor's Office. Current Supervisor Joe Eminger announced earlier this week that he will step down next month after more than a decade on the job. Flynn left public service back in 2024, and acting supervisor will be appointed by the Town of Tonawanda Board until a special election is held this November for a permanent replacement. All right, Mr. Hammer, Mother Nature is going to be replacing our sunshine with some showers in the next couple hours, right?
That is the case. Yeah, we're going to cloud it up, and rain showers are in our future for the second half of the day today. Tomorrow looks gorgeous, a little on the cool side. 40s to around 50. And then on Sunday, we're back into the mid-60s, and there will be a few showers. It looks like midday, early afternoon as well. Right now, we're beginning to see the clouds start to thicken. They're kind of thin out there now, but clouds will build out ahead of this rain that not looking terribly impressive on radar, but we will see some of that rain come through early this afternoon. It appears midday into the early afternoon, as you can see right there, 2, 3 o'clock. And some of the showers extending into this evening. We're talking about 0.2 to maybe 1/4 inch of rain out of this is kind of at most. And then notice Saturday, waking up to some clouds, but look at this, the clearing. There are the clouds in the morning, then the clearing takes over, and it should be a nice Saturday. And Sunday, a little warmer, okay? But Sunday will offer, as you'll see here, some increasing clouds. After the sunshine on Saturday, here comes the rain showers. It looks like Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening. This, too, does not look terribly heavy. As we go towards rain totals, we're thinking, 0.15, 0.20, that kind of thing, which is fine. We certainly are not in need of any rain right now. Not that this is going to cause any issues, but luckily it's not too terribly heavy because we've got a surplus of rain. Temperatures today will be in the 50s across the north, mid-60s across the southern tier, but all of us will begin to cool off this afternoon as the rain begins to roll in. And then as we head towards your day tomorrow, we're all around 50 degrees, some spots only in the upper 40s under clearing skies, so skies will be mostly sunny. And then on Sunday, we're back into the 60s with scattered afternoon showers. So for today, afternoon rain showers, not much of a wind, 58, but by later this afternoon, we'll be closer to 50. Mostly cloudy and colder tonight, down to 33. And then for your day tomorrow, mostly sunny. There will be some morning clouds giving way to sunshine. And the 7-day forecast, unsettled next week, certainly, with scattered showers and a few thunderstorms Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But a warm spring weather pattern is taking shape. It looks, when I say warm, warmer, 60s and 70s through most of next week with opportunities of some rain showers. At this point, Pete, each and every day.
All right. Hey, Patrick, when we look at patterns,
yeah,
is there a telltale sign other than the temperatures for next week that we're kind of settled into spring with an eye on summer? I
think so. So one of the things that we're looking at, too, is still you can have trends that are kind of up and down. So if we go below average to start May, which may be the case, below average in May means like 50s, okay? Whereas below average right now means like 30s or 40s. So I do think we have a warm stretch next week and the following. I do think that there's a chance that we trend a little cooler as we start May, okay? But that doesn't mean cold. It just means... your question is about eyeing into summer. I think we have 2 weeks where warm temperatures will be here, and that'll be nice. The winter cold, though, is over. We got rid of that Monday.
That's good. That's what I was getting at. Are we going to have another slap in the face? Because that's what spring does to us.
Yeah, but I can remember some Cinco de Mayo slaps in the face. Not because it's May and it's like 55, right? which is, not terribly. And Amy just reminded me it's my wife's birthday. Thank you, Amy. Sometimes I need to be reminded.
You know what? You'll get a Cinco de Mayo slap in the face if you forget that, okay?
Exactly. Anyway, I will say that the winter slaps are gone, Pete.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. We are going to take a quick break right now, and we'll be back with more Daybreak on the other side. Well, we were just talking about the seasons and how do we know when it's... We know it's hockey season. We know it's hockey season.
But usually hockey season's over by now.
That's a good point. But next weekend, the playoffs are here, and the Sabres just continue to pick up momentum as they roll toward that mark. Last night, they dominated the Blue Jackets, at least in the third period, behind a 5-0 shutout win in front of the hometown crowd. Colton Ellis making his first start since February 3rd. Now, the Buffalo rookie was just stellar in the nets. Buffalo struck first. Peyton Krebs got his 12th of the season. Now that put the Sabres up 1-0 after one. Now, tight game for the next two periods because it stayed 1-0 until the third period, and Ellis just making save after save. Josh Doan finally snaps that and, with his 24th of the year, putting up Buffalo 2-0. Then Logan Stanley, of all people, sets up Jack Quinn to make it 3-0. 25 seconds later, Zach Benson passes it to Doan for his second of the game, and it was just all Sabres through the third. Rasmus Dahlin added on an empty netter to make it 5-0, but Colton Ellis, 37 saves for the shutout. The Sabres win 5-0, and it's his first shutout of his career. Jonathan Acosta has more post-game reaction from KeyBank Center. Does he?
Jonathan. No.
You know what? Jonathan decided to. I've done enough work today, so you know what we're going to do? We're going to take you in the locker room ourselves then, right? Following last night's game, head coach Lindy Ruff came in and just celebrated the team and Ellis with his first career shutout. He gave him the game puck, and also Colton Ellis. The Sabres have this tradition. They've got like a big wrestling belt.
It looks like a Rocky Balboa belt.
Yes. So the player of the game is in charge of handing it off to the next player of the game, and there was no mystery as to who was getting it last night.
Okay, hell of a win. Yeah. Shout out puck for Ellie. Yeah. 20 goals for Quinter. Hell of a game, boys. Donor. I think all owes you dinner for that one, but hell of a game. Got to go to the worst warm-up goalie in the league. But he redeemed himself tonight, boys.
Alright, boys, thanks a lot for that. All the boys selling out, putting their body in line. It's a lot of fun playing with you guys.
The worst warm-up goalie in the league. I love it. Here's a look at the Atlantic Division following last night. Not only the Sabres win, but a Tampa Bay loss. Sabres still on top of the Atlantic Division, 106 points. The Canadians beat the Lightning, so they keep pace with the Sabres at 104 points, Lightning at 102, and then Boston at 96. So that's where they stand right now. All three teams, the Sabres have a game in hand on, or have a game in hand on the Sabres, I should say. So with just 2 regular season games left before the playoffs, the Sabres have a rare 3-day break, which will come at a great time. They are back in action Monday night in Chicago against the Blackhawks. 8:30 start there, but yeah, it's kind of cool to see behind the scenes. You know, Patrick, earlier this morning, he goes, hey, the Sabres posted this great video. We got a show. And it's like...
They do it all the time. I've just never... Because a lot of times we do post-game interviews with the players and the coaches every now and then, and, you know, it's one-on-one. It's nice to see them in kind of a group setting, you know, letting their hair down a little and celebrating, you know, a certain player, giving them the belts.
And you know what? It proved to me One comment you made while the video was playing,
Yeah.
it proved to me we needed to show you some more behind the scenes of hockey.
Yes.
Because when Ellis took his jersey off, Patrick goes, wow, look at that outfit.
Well,
Talking about his chest protector.
I know,
arm
but the way the colors, it looked like he was a stormtrooper from like Battlestar Galactica, right? Of course, that's what a hockey, but it just was, he took off the...
I know.
But it was like,
but unless you play hockey,
you wouldn't know
you
how
wouldn't
much.
know what the
Right.
chest pads are. But
Right.
I just like the way you put that.
I was like, he looks like he's a character at Disneyland, you know, acting as like a character.
It's very clear you grew up in a clothing store.
Yeah, I looked at oh, nice apparel.
Exactly. Look at that outfit. All right, it's color coded. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. And it is 9:24 now, and today's the final day of the Artemis II mission. The 4-astronaut crew is expected to return to Earth tonight after their trip around the moon and back. The 10-day record-breaking mission saw them travel further away from Earth than any human ever. Daybreak's Natalie Foss joins us now and has a little bit more on there's always a Western New York connection. And for this one, we kind of go back to your old neighborhood.
Yeah, so part of the Orion spacecraft was actually not really built, but it was the windows. They were polished in Chile, which I'm from Chile, New York.
I didn't know you were a Chile.
I am from
Chile. Are you a
Chilean?
Chilean?
Chile? Yeah, I don't.
What's
not
that?
Chilean. 'Cause it's not Chile.
No, I know, but Chilean.
I don't know if we really have a name for
No,
ourselves.
they call them Chile beans.
Chile beans.
But it's so cool. They were, there's like a lot going on in Chile. There's all these like business parks and you never really know what's happening. And this is one of those things that's happening is that the windows on the spacecraft, all of the windows were polished. And it's not only, you know, making for really great pictures and stuff that's coming out of that, but it's also keeping the astronauts safe, which is really cool. Yeah. Especially on re-entry, which is happening today. It's just a big day. I'm kind of sad about it because this has been so fun to kind of watch them and hear from them about their experience, but they're going to be coming back home, bringing all their research back with them today. And re-entry is going to take about 13 minutes, which you think about it, 13 minutes isn't really that long time to come back. They start 75 miles above the Earth's surface, and they can go up to 22,000 miles per hour on re-entry before they deploy their parachutes and then land off the coast of San Diego.
And that is purely the power of gravity.
Yeah.
But I'm curious because gravity has a certain speed and weight equation. So how does it get to 22,000 miles an hour? That's incredible.
I know.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, but we've been kind of watching them all morning.
Points to ponder.
Yeah, right. We've been watching them all morning. We have this really cool graphic we can show you. This is live. It's the Artemis II tracker. And right now we're sitting at 72,000. They were in the 80,000 miles away earlier this morning. So they're moving at a fast pace. They're coming home, and they're going to be coming home very soon, a little bit later today. Now, while they're getting ready, they have lots to do. They're stowing away all their equipment that they've been using, removing cargo, readjusting their
What
seats.
does that mean? Removing cargo? Are they throwing it off?
I don't actually know.
They're putting everything in the storage
They're putting
bins and
everything
locking
away.
up, like, you know.
Getting their seat in the upright position.
I thought that too, though. I'm like, they're not opening a window.
The exit rows are on either
Make sure
side.
your overhead compartments are latched. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and they have lots to do to, you know, get ready to go. They have lots of meetings today going over all of those conditions that they have to be working with today for re-entry. That's weather briefings, entry timelines, learning about the status of their recovery force, which are there right now. They're also working together as a crew to review post-landing operations, make sure they're ready to go when they do land. And the team on the ground at NASA says that along with the crew up in space, they are very confident that this will be a total success.
Every system we've demonstrated over the past 9 days, life support, navigation, propulsion, communications, all of it depends on the final minutes of flight. We have high confidence in the system and the heat shield and the parachutes and the recovery systems we put together. The engineering supports it, the Artemis I flight data supports it, all of our ground test supports it, our analysis supports it, and tomorrow the crew is going to put their lives behind that confidence.
They have high confidence. Well, I'm certainly glad about that.
Yeah, right? Well, and so these guys are actually in place right now. They are in the Pacific Ocean in the splashdown zone. They are also preparing. They're doing all of their checks, all of their medical things that they need to do, because they're going to be the ones that have that first contact.
Right.
So they're practicing all of their missions as well to make sure that when the astronauts get here, they're able to get them safely back home, which will be fantastic. I'm really excited to watch it.
Yeah, well, a few years ago on the 50th anniversary of the Apollo splashdown, I did an interview with a gentleman in Dunkirk who was one of the sailors on the Navy boat that went out and retrieved.
Okay.
And he says the emotions that they feel, seeing that the magnitude of what they're witnessing, and helping these crew members who were in outer space the day before. He says the emotions are unbelievable and they're overwhelming. You have no way of anticipating what you're going to be feeling.
Right. Oh, well, I kind of watching the thing take off.
Yeah.
I felt emotion. I think anytime you man does this kind of major feat, you feel an emotion about it.
And then there's been all these beautiful things on social media and TikTok of all these little girls watching Christina up there doing all of her work, and just so cool. There are all these videos of girls staring at the moon, and they're like, there's a girl up there, Space Barbie's up there. So it's just so cool.
That is cool.
Just really beautiful.
And all 4 of those astronauts can now say, I love you to the moon and back.
Yeah.
And really mean it. And really mean it.
You need to work for Hallmark.
I'm getting ready to be a grandpa.
No, I'm going to cry.
This month, so.
I love you to the moon and back.
There you go. Oh,
moonlighting.
Love it. All right, have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for joining us for Daybreak.